Hello, everybody. This is Sadaf. You guys know me as Majdi from Move with Majdi. And today I have Khushboo, which is Mumsy Notebook. You might know her. Why we're here together is because both of us went through something during our pregnancy, which a lot of other women go through too. And we thought that if we could share our experiences, and both of us had the same condition but slightly different experiences, so we wanted to talk about it in a very casual mom to mom way and let you guys know, especially those women who are currently going through it, that it is a condition, it is normal, and most of the times it is not as risky. Sometimes it can be as well, but if you are well aware of it in advance, now the medical, I would say medicine has advanced so much that there are a lot of ways and treatments that we can go through. So right now we're going to have a quick session, just me and Khushboo talking about our experiences. So what do you say, Khushboo? Welcome.
Yes, so thank you so much, Sada, for inviting me. Without further ado, let me just get on and say that today we're going to be talking about a condition known as oligohydramnios. It's such a big word, but in simple terms, it just means a condition where the pregnant moms are suffering from low amniotic fluid. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
So for me personally, yes, sorry, go on.
no. I was just gonna say that for me, it is so hard to say. Like I'm always like oligohydramnios. That is that is how I break it to say it right. But
Yes,
in
I'm
simple
actually
words, it means low amniotic fluid. I'm like, why can't you just say it?
I think that's easier, so let's just stick to that.
Yeah, low amniotic fluid. So basically, what happens is that during your pregnancy, your amniotic fluid starts to decrease, and that's the condition which can have some harmful effects. So tell me what you know, because I think you spoke to a doctor as well, right, regarding all this.
I did basically. So when a mom is pregnant and she's carrying the baby, the fetus is quite comfortably sitting in a very lovely warm amniotic fluid, and it makes sure that it allows the baby has the right nutrition, and it's in a nice, well, safe case. But in such a case as me and you have had with the low amniotic fluid, it gets quite risky for the baby because it could result in growth restriction as well as nutritional deficiency for the baby. It could also be dangerous for the mom. So it's quite important to have the right amount of amniotic fluid when you're carrying the baby. Yeah, so it turns out that 8% of women who are pregnant suffer from having not this condition, suffer from having low fluid, but there's only 4%. It turns out me and you are out from those 4% who actually suffer from this condition. So it's not a large number, but yeah, it's there, it's
And
happening.
the thing is that there's no guarantee. For example, like you can have it in the first pregnancy, or you might not have had it in the first or the second pregnancy or the third, and the later one might have.
Why don't you speak about your pregnancies, and then I will tell you about mine as well, because
So,
it's
so
different
with
for both of us.
me, I think my experience was probably much less scarier than yours in a way. And I think we'll leave it for more, interest development for later on for yours. But what happened is that most of the people, I think, I literally did my entire, documented my entire pregnancy online, and people saw that I've been working out. I've been sharing a lot of content about it, and my nutrition, my health, everything I was sharing online. And people know that I had a very smooth pregnancy up until the right at the end. I had no complications. I went through, alhamdulillah, nothing. And this was my third pregnancy. Same went with both previous pregnancies as well. I had no complications, zero. So, and if anything, I always had a lot of water. Even in the last trimester, every time I would go to my doctor, she would say, fluid? Oh, you have plenty of fluid. And I'd be like, so amniotic fluid and like low amniotic fluid was the last thing on my mind, because in my previous pregnancies, I never went through this. And because alhamdulillah, this was the third time and I was having a rather more healthy and, active pregnancy, my doctor was very happy with how it was proceeding. So it was quite shocking when at 35th week appointment, we went and the doctor said, I feel that the growth of the baby hasn't increased since last week.
Mm.
And I was like, how is that possible? I'm like, everything's fine. And we had just come back from a weekend staycation to celebrate my husband's birthday, and we were very excited. And I was like, everything's fine. What just happened over a week?
Yeah.
And he said, no, let me do some numbers again, run the numbers again. But it looks like the baby hasn't grown in last week. And that was really stressful. So then she
Yeah.
sent us for a detailed scan. And then the whole CTG started, where they start
Yeah.
doing your the fetal heart rate monitoring and all that. And I've not gone through this before. So for me, it was very scary that why are they doing the fetal heart rate, checking it so often? Because
Yeah.
is there
Yeah.
something wrong with my baby? And when we did the detailed scan, it kind of got confirmed that my water levels were going down. But again, my gynecologist, she called us in and she said, the levels are going down. It happens in third trimester. It generally happens anyways. The water starts to go down. But the
Correct. Correct.
way, the frequency at which yours is going down is a little dangerous, because then the fetal growth restriction happens and baby has better chances of thriving outside
Outside
of the
then
mother's
in.
body than inside. So she said, we're going to monitor, and this is a week 36 now. She said, we're going to monitor. By next week, you're going to be at week 37, and it'll be safe afterwards to deliver. But we'll see how it goes. So I think that from week 36 to week 37, we were like in extreme stress, and we were going through CTGs. Luckily, my daughter's heart rate was pretty stable. There weren't any issues with that. I did have a very irritable uterus, so I
Mm.
started having a lot of contractions 35th 36th week onwards. So she could see that I'm having a lot of contractions. They're not building up to a labor, and it's still too early, it's still preterm. So there were a lot of things going on at that time. Then I started reading up on it, and I was trying to figure out, so what happens if you have low amniotic fluid?
Was your
And
doctor able to, sorry, was your doctor
yeah,
able to pinpoint why this happened to you?
no, she's, in
Yeah.
my case, she said that generally by 35th week the fluids start to go down. In your case, they have just started, maybe there was a rupture in the membrane. She did
Mm.
not give me any reason. She's just said it happens in certain women, and we can't pinpoint unless you've fallen down, unless you've had it previously as well, because it's not even genetic. And
Yeah.
you can't really pinpoint. And I'm not into drugs, so
Mm.
so there's the concept of having drugs or alcohol, or you've had hereditary
Yeah,
issues
that kind of lifestyle. But no,
that
you've obviously
we
have
we
had a
weren't
very
fitting
active,
that
healthy
scope.
lifestyle.
So that was all canceled out. The last thing was that if by some sort of trauma you have a rupture in your membrane, it could be through trauma, or it could be just naturally a rupture can happen. So she said it's probably because of the rupture, because I couldn't even, how some women say there's a proper trickle and there's proper like fluid coming out that you can feel.
Mm.
With me, there's another reason why I didn't figure it out, is because symptomatically I could not see or feel
Feel the
anything
difference.
different. So it was happening at a very slow speed and I could not tell. It was only through the
Mm.
scans that we found out. But
Yeah.
eventually, I think the doctor's plan at 37th week was that let's stretch it to 38 weeks. My
Mm.
previous history, dictated that by 38th week, I deliver naturally. I go into labor naturally. So she said, I think it's going to happen the same way. By 38th week, you'll go naturally in labor and we'll
Yeah.
deliver. Unless, if that doesn't happen, we'll induce you. But 38th week was the week that she had decided we're going to get the baby out. Another thing she
Yeah.
wanted was that the baby should be at least 2.5 kgs,
Yeah.
because that's
Okay.
another thing. Before you touch 2.5, then it becomes a premature baby, and then it has to go in a neonatal facility.
Mm.
So in my case, we were just borderline 2.5. So she said, let's just stretch it. Maybe we reach that number.
Yeah.
And on 38th week, we crossed the 2.5 kg mark just by this much. It was 2.6. It was
Every little unit matters, doesn't
just
it?
this much.
That's when you realize after any number after the decimal point is important. Yeah.
And then on 38th week, 38 plus 1, I had gone naturally in labor. And it was the longest labor as compared to the last two. And
Uh-huh.
but alhamdulillah, I delivered her. She came out into this world. She had no complications. And
Yeah.
it was over. But that was
Another.
my experience. That was like, it was, the scary part was very little. It was just a 2 week window where we were very scared. What happened in your case?
So with mine, as you said, like the whole pregnancy was going fine. I at 33 weeks went to the doctor. I was having I think it was every 3 weeks I was seeing the doctor and doing the scans. So at the 33rd week, she was checking and she was, as you said, concerned about the growth of the baby. The baby wasn't showing signs of optimum growth. Um, she checked that I wasn't leaking fluid, as you said,
Hmm.
in your case as well. But when she checked with, from down there and everything, there was no such leakage. So it turns out that she concluded that it was probably because my body wasn't making amniotic fluid anymore. Because, as you said, after 30, closer to the end of the pregnancy, the body stops making
Yeah.
its own amniotic fluid. Um, and I think that was the case with me. And also, I was on very strong medication because of my high
Oh,
risk pregnancy. So all of this was creating factors and making it more stressful for the baby. Like the optimum condition for the baby was a bit stressful. So at the 33rd week, the doctor's concerned. She's telling me that it's looking like the baby's growth is not as we'd hoped it to be. So what we want you to do is get bed rest. She did prescribe me some medicines, but she's saying that it doesn't look like there's a lot of medicine out there which is going to help make new
yeah.
amniotic fluid. So it's not like we can like load you up with more. What you have is what you need to conserve. So yeah, so I was on complete bed rest. I remember, like, I think I was called again the day after, and I was told that we need to give you injections to make sure that the baby's lungs mature in case we have to make the decision to induce you for early labor. So, as you can imagine, I was like completely in tears. My husband had to console me in the room. And it was quite stressful because I wasn't sure how to handle it. We were in the middle of moving houses. And, I felt like if the baby did arrive, where would I be? I would be in the hospital, in the new house, the old house. If the baby would be in the NICU, how could I split myself into all these places? And I was just an emotional wreck. The hormones were not helping me. So anyway, he calmed me down. I kind of had to compose myself.
Yeah.
The doctor said I should keep coming every 2, 3 days to check the levels. We were not having just the regular scans um, her in her room, but I've also was getting them done with a proper radiographer who
Yeah.
was like making sure that each and every pocket that she could count, she could like add up to make sure that the levels were okay.
Yeah.
And every time the radiographer would move her little, I don't know what that thing is called, over your belly, you're like trying to read her face and if she's smiling, if she's happy, trying to figure out whether she has good news or not. So that was stressful. Anyway, cut the story short. At 36 weeks, the doctor decided that the levels were getting even lower and it was much more safer to deliver the baby than to keep it inside. Not to cause any stress to the baby's heart rate, and also the pregnancy, the delivery, you don't want it to be having any complications. So uh, we were given the decision, and me and my husband decided, yeah, okay, fine, let's go for it. The doctor thought that the baby's weight was going to be borderline 2 kg, and if the baby's weight was going to be 2 kg, the baby would be fine to come home with us. But at on the delivery day, the my baby boy was born and he was 1.9. So just by
Oh,
a little bit, the doctors did not allow him to come home. So as soon as he was born, the pediatrician checked him and he was moved straight away to the NICU. It was really hard because with my first kid, there were no complications, just like yours. There were no complications. Everything was fine. Mine was born at 38 weeks, even though small, but like she was okay. She was fine, healthy.
mm,
But with this one, it was really hard to see him in the NICU attached to all the tubes, and he wasn't like I wasn't there to feed him. He was being fed through tubes and formula milk and all of that. So it was a bit stressful, but I had to keep my faith in the doctors, and I had to keep faith and stay strong myself as well. And he within a week he climbed up the weight. He got to 2.2 kg, and then he was discharged after a week, and he's home. And now he's a year older, and he's doing good. Alhamdulillah, he's doing fine.
mashallah,
So yeah.
mashallah.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine what you must have gone through, like
So it
especially.
was from 33 to 36 weeks every day. It was really hard because I'm such an active person myself. Not
Yeah.
as active as you, maybe doing the exercise, but I always want to be on the go, knowing what to do, and I obviously already have a kid.
And then you're
So
put on
it's
bed
not
rest.
like so it's not yeah, so bed rest is just a term. You can't really constantly be on a bed rest
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was hard, but yeah.
Yeah. So you delivered at 36 weeks then?
Yes,
36,
at
right?
36 weeks.
At 36.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
And it was a normal delivery?
So it was a normal delivery. The day before I delivered, apparently I was already dilated 1.5 centimeters. So my body was like prepping itself to
Yeah.
deliver already. But I was induced, and yeah, my labor wasn't as long. It was like maybe 6 hours or so, and then yeah, he was here.
He was here. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then he was moved to NICU, right? And so he stayed
Yes.
there for a week.
He stayed there for a week. Yeah. So they wanted to check that his lungs were okay because obviously he's born premature. So they wanted to make sure that he's able to breathe by himself. The feeding, they tried to give him formula milk, and I also expressed myself to give him because I wanted to do that. I wanted to give him
Yeah.
my own express milk. So we pushed that. We worked together with the breastfeeding consultants to make sure that he was latching properly. And when all the factors felt all right, the doctors were convinced that he's ready to go home. That's yes. After a week, we were all sent home, and we were
So, wow. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah for healthy babies and like,
yes,
for being strong enough to go through that process.
yeah.
I personally think that, whether it's 36 weeks or 38 weeks, or some women who find out at even earlier, like, 28 weeks,
Hmm.
whenever you find it out, I'm like, pregnancy is such a, I don't know, it's such a special moment that the minute you conceive, you have that attachment with that thing when
Yes,
even it's just a ball of cells. So imagine like when you've been carrying your child for like 7, 8 months, by that time, like there is
you
no way, like,
yeah, you've got a strong bond and you
yeah,
will do anything to make sure that the baby is safe. So either my case or your case, I'm sure our feelings, our emotions were the same.
yeah. And I think the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I wanted to share a couple of things. Like, how we have these different myths around anything that can go wrong. Like, there's another thing which we'll do sometime later about first trimester myths and all. But again, there's so many taboos and so many things that people just think in their head, and they say this is happening because of this and this. Even with this low amniotic level fluids, I've heard such bizarre things as to the fact that no, if you're carrying a girl, only then it happens. Or if
Ah,
if you're carrying a boy, only that happens. So there are two different schools. If you carried a girl and you knew someone else who carried a girl, the numbers were more towards that side. You, without any research or without any data, you're just going to say,
yeah,
oh, because you carried a girl, that's why it's happening. And I'm sure
yeah,
you would have heard the same thing because of the boy
yeah,
factor, that boys are very sensitive to carry. Another statement that you hear, I carried two boys. But the general
nothing
statement is,
sensitive about that.
they drove me crazy. But literally the first thing you hear is that, oh, the boy pregnancies are the most sensitive one. I was like, really? Okay, sure. But
Well,
so
I'll go one of each, and I can say they're both just as equally hard or just as equally the same.
I know. And then there's the same concept about, maybe we did something wrong because of which it
Yes,
happened. And I was very active. And the first thing, even when you keep saying that, no, I didn't do anything, or my doctor saying I didn't, at the back of my mind, I knew a lot of people, or
the
my mom
question
would
mark. Yeah.
say that itni exercise karti thi na, you uski wajah se.
Ah.
And I remember, like,
See,
I was the,
again, we both are so opposite in terms of that. You had such an active pregnancy. You were like completely doing all those exercise, fitness, and eating healthy. I was like taking it a bit easy. I'm like, this is the last time I'm probably going to eat as much as I want. After that, I'm going to be counting each and every calorie. So let me just bring on all the
that's a
chocolate
party
and the
layer.
food. Yeah. This is the last time I'm going to be eating carefree. So again, two different pregnancies, and
We
both of
still
them
went through it.
resulted in this condition.
Yeah. And then again, like, it's not by any fault of ours. I think as long as we're not doing the things that actually harm us or our baby, like, there are women and
Smoking and drinking and
smoking, drinking, drugs, and all that
drugs.
stuff, where yes, it can lead to those circumstances. But unless you're a healthy individual, there's no reason for you to blame that it was something that you did because of which it happened. So I think for me, if I have to say that, if I console anybody, I say, who's going through something like this, I tell them, one, you just have to tell them this is not something which is completely out of the ordinary. There are a lot of women who go through it. It's just that we don't talk
Yeah.
about these things, and
Yes, and
so
we need
women
to,
don't know
yeah,
about it.
yes,
That's
stop
one of the
blaming
things.
yourself and prepare yourself to be in the right frame of mind. Okay,
Yeah,
what's happened has happened, but what can you do now about it? You need
exactly.
to stay positive. You need to start taking care of yourself and be ready with the idea that, okay, in case the baby does arrive earlier, does arrive sooner, how can you prepare yourself, or the nursery, the baby's nursery, or how can you educate yourself about the NICU, what you need to do to be able to take care of the baby. I
Yeah,
think because I was informed at 33 weeks, and I had like until the 36th week, I kind of educated myself about what to expect, what can, like, not what can go wrong, but how can I prevent from anything to go wrong with my baby in case the baby does end up in NICU, which he did. um, I actually went to the NICU, introduced myself, asked him a question. So I was always gathering as much information as I could, just so that I felt comfortable about where I would be, where
yeah.
my baby would be, and so on. So yeah, please educate yourself. Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's uh, one of the first things that you need to do, is that you have to get out of that, you know, the, you
The
know the
blame
the
blame game, or
blame game, and also the mindset that, oh my God, I'm in a problem and I have to be feeling like a victim right now. No, you don't have to feel like a victim. You have to be the survivor, and you have to get into the problem solving mode, like look for the solution. Again, as you said, what's happened has happened. Now you have to think from a mindset of how I can handle the situation, instead of just like leaving everything and saying, oh my God, now why did this happen to me, what am I
yeah.
going to do? I'm like this.
Yeah.
That kind of
And have
mindset
a
never
good,
helps.
strong support system as well. I think I was very lucky in terms of having a strong support system with my husband and my sister, my mother, who came like the next day of my delivery as well. So having a strong support system really eases off the pressure that you have on yourself. The burden is a bit less. Yeah. So have a strong support system too.
I think I felt so good talking to you about it, honestly, because the day it happened to me, the first person that came to my mind was you. And that's because I
I'm
saw
glad
a
I
post of
spoke
yours.
about it.
And that's because I saw a post of yours where you did that with the doctor and talked to him about it. And I was like, oh, I remember that Khushboo went through something like that, and I'm going to talk to her about it. And then I was like, we need to talk to more women, and like, kind of do our bit to
Mm.
talk about things that even in this day and age we just don't talk about them. And I don't
Yeah.
understand why. I'm like, there's no shame in talking about these things. Then why are we like so particular about like being all hush hush, oh no, these are women problems and we don't talk about them? Like, why can't we share this and like make it easy for other women who might be going through it and have no one to talk to? So
Yes, true.
what I want now from you is that, since you went through this, what is the advice that you would give to women who may be going through something like this? And I know you already gave that little bit of advice, but if you want to sum it up, what would you say to them?
Yeah, the advice I'd give is it's out of your hands. So please don't try and find a reason as to why it's happened. It's happened. Let's get out of that and put yourself in a frame of mind where you need to work towards the future. So train yourself into how you can look after yourself and the baby. Listen to the doctor's advice. They are in it just for your benefit, and surround yourself with a good support system. I think those would be my advice. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I would say. That a good support system is vital to going through this whole
Yeah.
situation. And then, as long as you know what you're going through, and there are so many resources online, you have your doctor, instead of just looking at like, completely baffled by what she has said and what you've been, struck with. Talk to them, ask questions, find out more about it. What there are women I know personally as well, someone who's going through it, and she said, I'm just on a bed rest, I'm just too stressed out about it. I don't want to think about it. I was like, no, 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 you have to think about it. You have to
Yeah.
think about what are the next steps, because
Yeah. Because
otherwise you just
delivering the baby is not
consume
the
yourself.
end.
Exactly. And consume yourself with negative thoughts. And, you know, it's for you and for the safety of your child. It's important that you learn what you're going through and you
True.
do all the right measures. And then, you know, of course, there's this one point where you have to leave everything on God and the one above, and just hope and have faith that, you know, everything will work out eventually. If you don't have any complications, things will turn out. You will either, the safest way would be to deliver the child and let the child thrive outside. But there's so
Yes.
many women who go through it and they successfully deliver. So that's another thing
Yes.
that women want to know, should know, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it's not like khuda na khasta something which is the most terrible thing that has happened to you.
Yes, true. And if you know of someone who's going through it, be that support system for them. Because
Yeah,
as a mother who's going through all these emotions and the hormones are all over the place, it can be a bit overwhelming. Maybe they don't know how to ask for help. So
yeah.
you be the person who's reaching out to them.
So now you guys know two women right here who are always there to listen to you, to, like, you know, just lend you a shoulder to talk about, just to, if you have anything that, you know, just, you can talk to us. Like, we've gone through it, and I'm sure once we put this up, there will be many more coming forward as well. If in your community or if in your society, your circle of friends, if you know any woman who's going through it or who's gone through it, please do share this video as well with them, because it's kind of a, it would give them comfort and, you know, consolation that there's other women like that who've gone through it and who have successfully delivered children, and there's hope. And then there's always someone you can talk to, right?
Yes.
So again, thank you so much, Khushboo. It was
Thank you for
amazing
having
talking
me.
to you. And I know that we have like little kids and we still have to like take time out and sneak ourselves into bedrooms to
Life carries on.
like I've sent my kids away. I've given my baby to the dad to take care of her, and I'm like, you know, just give me a few minutes. But thank you so much for, you know, doing this.
It's my pleasure. And anytime, anything more you need from me, you know, you can just reach me.
Yeah. So you guys, two people, Mumsy
Bye.
Move with Bajbin. You can message us anytime. Just don't spam us. But rest is all good, and no judgments. We're a judgment-free zone and judgment-free people. So don't judge us. We won't judge you. It's all a safe zone, safe mommy's zone, I'd say. And if there's anything you guys want us to talk about regarding pregnancies, regarding children, childbirth, any of the controversial topics, because I'm never afraid of talking about controversial topics. I'm always up for them. So do message us, let us know, and promise to God we'll come up with a very interesting session again. Yeah, you're
Yes.
on with me?
Yes, I am 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you and bye bye. And thank you for
Thank
watching
you
this.
guys. Thank you for watching us.